Chicago, hosted by Mario J. Bell. They're going to interview me, and I figured I would stream it live for you guys to watch. I don't know when he's starting. It should be any second now. We're going to listen in.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's another edition here of Bell and Company. I am Mario J. Bell. With me is Libby, as always. Hey, Libby.
Hi.
And we're live. We're here. This isn't a pre-recorded show, so hopefully everybody listening live and knows what's going on now. I feel like I haven't been here in forever. It's been, what, like 2 weeks, I think.
Yes.
I completely, I mean, like for a couple of days, you can kind of still hear it. I had no voice.
I know. You weren't even talking to me.
I'm not sure when they're going to put me on, guys, but this is the process when you call into a radio show. So basically, you call in, you listen for a bit, and then they call on you to join.
It's staying, I'm audible at least, thank God. So it's ugly when you're in radio and you can't talk. That doesn't work well. But anyway, so yeah, we're back, and it's been a kind of a rough couple of weeks of not being here. It seems like the world has been turned upside down, at least in the U.S.
It's always been.
You think it's always something going on, but I mean, we had like we had some we just had another one today, and it seems like it. We had another one at a church.
Like it.
But these are big events, for people who obviously everybody knows about it, but I wasn't here, and I'm still kind of confused as to what's going on. Now there's big conspiracy theories about it, that he's still alive and it was some kind of event. I'm like, boy, oh boy. Anyway, I'm talking about Charlie Kirk for people
He's talking about my stream that he watched yesterday. He's probably going to ask me because I was saying that conspiracy stuff yesterday live.
I thought they were going to end it, to be honest, but no, it's still an organization.
The grifter's going to grift.
But yeah, there's a lot of people say about that organization. Well, there's a few of those. I mean, on both sides of the political,
well, of course,
what do they call that? The left and right paradigm, whatever.
I'm sick of the holier than thou right people think they're.
So they're going to introduce me in a second, guys. We're waiting on the radio show now in Chicago.
Now they're thinking that like they have another saint.
Wrong.
Yeah. So well, anyway, my point to this whole thing is that kind of woke people up about what's going on with politics.
They hated woke.
I don't know if people considered him woke, maybe. But whatever. So that happened while we were gone. And now, yeah, like you mentioned a second ago, there was another church shooting today, Sunday. We're live on Sunday. And they're still working that out. But I guess a whole bunch of people were shot again, similar to the one when we were on, back in early September. So like you said, it seems to be kind of a trend.
What's up, chat? This is a guest appearance that we're about to get introduced live on the radio. For anybody just joining, I want to keep you updated. We're just listening to their little intro, and then they're going to introduce me, and we're going to talk and break it down. Shout out to the chat.
Every day. I wonder why.
Shout out V. Shout out Total Takeover. Rhonda, Rue.
Exactly.
What about knifings? Do we have knifings every day?
We have knifings, but it's rare.
I don't know what they call it. Attack with a knife.
We do have.
Can you guys hear the show okay?
Not a problem.
I just feel like in the last couple of weeks of being sick, I was like, whoa, I missed a lot in the world. But you've been keeping up with it. You've been telling me all about it on the social media, specifically Facebook. So it's not like I don't know what's going on.
But if you listen to right wing, just listen to YouTube. There's a lot of YouTube channels, independent media.
You got everybody thinking
I wish I would have started when they brought me on, but I didn't want to miss the beginning.
But no, I'm like
a couple more seconds.
Like I used to like Dr. Ron Paul. So people, even Senator Sanders was him.
States.
So well, anyway, but that
And you know how ridiculous you people sound.
I just don't.
R.I.P. Snoop Dogg. No way.
With the whole.
No way, David.
World view on things after people, mass shootings. That's the part that
don't say that.
That gets me.
Well,
and a big figure like that guy. I mean,
gun control, so that's on you.
What if that was a
David? You got me. Snoop is not dead. For anybody who's watching this, Snoop Dogg is not dead. Don't say R.I.P. Snoop Dogg. What up, Sasa?
Around with guns.
Shout out the Netherlands. I met a lot of cool people from the Netherlands in the last couple of months.
So it's in our face now. I mean, because that guy was from Chicago. I don't know if you know that. Did you know that he was on a station like a competitor?
Kirk? Yeah, I knew he was from here.
I actually didn't. I know he went on the station at one point. I didn't know he was actually from here. Who
Yeah.
Who's also from here?
And Nick Fuentes.
I don't know if they're gonna ask me about Charlie Kirk because that's how they're opening the show.
He's been making the news a lot. Oh, that's what I wanted to bring up regarding this. It's weird. Charlie, I'm just going to call him Charlie Harper. That was his character. 2.5 Men. Charlie Sheen has been in the news a lot lately with his book tour because he's got a documentary that just came out while we were off the air. And also...
What do you mean R.I.P. Ice-T, bro? Stop saying rappers died.
Happened
No rappers died.
with the
What the hell, man?
He was in an interview with Joe Rogan, and I was like, whoa, that was an interesting reaction. Because I think they were done, and they literally brought him back in to finish the...
Yeah, Joe Rogan. He don't like Derek King.
Well, he was... I mean, what's funny, they were...
Hey, shout out Derico, shout out Steve.
Yeah, no, and then
We're about to get introduced for the live interview, guys. I called up the radio station. I said, can I stream the interview on my own channel, my own platforms for my listeners so you guys can have the first scoop of this interview unedited, excuse me, maybe I could use some editing, untouched.
yeah, but when Blaine out in the studio, he's a mega guy.
I know. Well, what's Charlie Sheen? I don't know what his political angle is. But anyway, so that's all been happening since we haven't been here. So it's like, whoa, we need to be on the air to keep peace or something. I don't know. Yeah, like it's me helping, right? That'd be funny if it was. Everybody's like, oh, Mario G. Bell's on the air. Okay, we can all listen to him and live in harmony. How about that?
He
Anyway.
got the right one.
Anyway, just
That's a good endorsement for his show. I got to tell him that when he puts me on here.
we're never gonna live in harmony. We always funny. There we go. So anyway, we got a cool
I
guest
didn't
coming.
like you,
Here we
though,
go.
even though
You
I don't agree with you.
Don't lie. You don't like me on or off the air. Don't lie.
So, please.
I hope
do
so.
like you,
How long have we been doing this now? About 6 years together, I think.
something like that.
A couple different stations, and podcasting. And so anyway, speaking of podcasting and social media and all this stuff, we're going to be talking about that with our guest coming up after we take a break here in a second. Cassius Morris will be joining us. Cassius Morris, I can never say it properly. He is, he's an influencer in and of himself, and he was on a Canadian station, so, and now he's obviously just doing it on his own as an influencer. We're going to be talking to him about, you know, what kind of topics he picks. We'll maybe bring in.
Influencer is crazy.
See his, if he's had an interview, I don't know. We'll ask him if he ever interviewed. Speaking of Charlie Sheen, we'll talk about that, and let's see where they're, you know, where they're at in Canada. And actually, he's traveling the world. I think he's actually going back to Vietnam or Thailand or something. So we'll talk to him about that. But yes, that's our guest today.
I have to talk about that? Oh, shit.
Have a good time. I think we will. We have a special segment that we're introducing. It's,
I got to talk about a lot of topics, apparently.
the two of us can argue. We can talk with this doctor that's coming on. So I don't want to promise it yet because I'm not sure we're going to have enough time because Cassius has a lot to talk about. But anyway, all that's coming up, and we'll take a break.
He's got me taking time away from a doctor, bro. What? That's crazy.
Aaron Belly Company.
I mean, I can't believe he calls me an influencer. That's pretty crazy. I don't consider myself an influencer, guys. I consider myself just a guy who makes content. I don't want to influence anybody.
Yes.
Yeah, before I couldn't hear. Like, maybe it's my headphones weren't in the jacket. We do have me said.
Hey, can you hear us?
Hey, I can hear you.
And we hear you. Excellent. We're gonna come to you after commercial.
Who's that?
Yep.
Perfect.
Oh, that worked out. I was worried
It's a
for
good
that.
time to ask you. I know he's not on video, but is the video on video?
Yeah, it should be on. And if you're on, you can see your. Well, you won't see your face obviously as your head
Okay, cool.
turned, but
We don't have the dummy. We don't need the dummy.
we got the unicorn if you want it.
Over here. Oh, we want to use the pinata?
I don't know. It just showed up last week.
I was like, why is it?
Okay, they're just figuring out their stuff, guys. And we're coming back from commercial to do the interview live.
All right, so Cassius is here.
It's a unicorn. It's got the horn.
Yeah,
He's on, it's on camera, right?
No, it's just you.
you're arguing.
Oh, no, excuse me, just got me on there.
What's coming? Your timeshare maintenance bill and RFA cancellation.
Actually, I have people calling about this one. This ad.
Someone's calling it right now. Actually, it's crazy.
Timeshares don't have that kind
What?
of freedom.
They got the old school radio, so they still got commercials. I'm not used to playing commercials on my show. I do a couple sponsored ads. But yeah, this interview is going to be on, what's the station? Damn it, I just lost the station. WCPT AM 820 in Chicago. That's the station we're calling into right now.
All right.
More money back in your pocket every month. Your timeshare share is not free, but this
You need a reason for all.
And shout out to the chat for being here, man. This is a little behind the scenes about what it's like to call into the radio. I've done radio shows where you have to call in so early that you actually have to listen to 2 full episodes of the show. Because a guy like Adam Carolla, when you call into his show, he does multiple episodes at once. So if you have a segment at the end of the second show, they have you call in at the beginning of the first show. And you sit there and wait and you listen and listen. So this is a little behind the scenes for anybody who wants to get into broadcasting, podcasting, radio. This is what it is. A lot of it is hurry up and wait. But that's okay.
credit card rates. Having a good credit score is important to your financial future.
It is the Princess Bride.
But yeah, I'm definitely not going to play their advertisements on my stream. Love you, Mario, but your sponsors are not getting sponsored on my show for free. There's no free promo on Cassius Morris Official. That's for sure. Where's everybody watching from, by the way? I'm broadcasting out of Alberta, Canada at the moment right now.
565.
And the radio station we're calling into is in Chicago. We got West Virginia in the house. What's good? Canada in the building. Oh, shit. What's your 9 to 5? This is my 9 to 5. Los Angeles, Montréal, Montréal. Montréal est dans la maison. Shout out Montreal, man.
Your diabetes care, personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance.
Hell says loser. Well, if I'm the loser and you're sitting here watching me, then what does that make you? I mean, even if that was true, you're still lower on the food chain. So being lower on the food chain than a loser, that's pretty crazy, bro.
Better birthday,
You're like a parasite at that point.
better anniversary, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-483-7217. 800-483-7217. 800-483-7217. That's 800-483-7217.
Okay, I think we're on.
And we're back here on Building Companies.
Here we go, guys.
And
I'm going to
looks like You
unmute.
got your headphones on there? Okay. So,
Seltzer
what I
water.
was saying before the break is we have a really cool guest on, an influencer in his own right. He's not from the U.S., though. He's Canadian. Okay? His name is, well, I want him to say it. Let's welcome him in. Are you with us? Can you hear us all right over there? You know, you're so far away from us.
Mario J. Bell, I can hear you loud and clear.
Hey, this is Cassius Morris. Did I say that right? Am I saying your name right?
Finally, somebody who can say it right. Yes, Cassius Morris, indeed. And hi, Livy.
Yeah.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. Happy to have you on. You're actually helping me outside the show with some projects, and that blew up real fast. So why don't we just get right into it? Talk a little bit about how you got into that whole thing of being an influencer, because we're trying to do that somehow, maybe someday.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, the short version of it is that I started when I was very young. I'm currently 26 years old. I started doing content,
Very young, 26.
She's still young.
Yes. Yeah, I guess so. And I started when I was 10 years old. So, I've been doing this basically my whole adolescent and adult life. And I would say it was just the perfect storm for me of timing. Podcasting was just starting to bubble up and become prevalent. And, I happened to discover it. And it was sort of a perfect accident at that time.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's a long time already. You were definitely there when like podcasting was new, or YouTube videos, and Google was still kind of in its infancy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there was only a couple guys who were really big in the space at the time. It was Mark Maron, the Nerdist, and then Joe Rogan. Those were kind of the big three at that point. And there wasn't really people, sort of everyday people who weren't celebrities that were really monetizing it or getting traction in it like we see today. So the space has definitely evolved in quite a few ways.
Forgot about Mark Maron, because I know he was doing podcasting, but I guess he was doing YouTube stuff too, wasn't
It
he?
was pretty good.
Yeah, he's finishing. He's still doing it, but I think he's ending it this year.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay, he's going to
So,
retire now. Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that there were only 3 big ones, but that makes sense because it was that long ago. Wow. And you were on there by that time too, at 10?
I had my podcast out there, yeah. So basically, the original idea when I started was trying to make a fan magazine. I was a big music fan at the time, a big Kiss guy, and I had read about these old fan magazines that they would make in the 70s and that they could actually get in touch with the bands from doing these fanzines. And I thought that would be cool to do, but I heard about this new thing called podcasting. So I figured I could mix the two, make a podcast that was actually about the bands that I liked and that maybe that would make me stand out. And so again, I started doing that, ended up getting traction in the rock world, in the Kiss world, and sort of just grew my name from there. That was the original inspiration.
That's how I found you, the Kiss interview you did, which was pretty cool. But isn't that more recent, or was that back when you were 10?
I did some
Is that
stuff
more
when I
recent?
was 10. I didn't get Gene until I was about like 21.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's a little more recent, but still, that's still pretty cool. And 5 years or so ago, that's pretty awesome, though. So, like, you also work. Well, first of all, you're not from the U.S. Like I said, you're Canadian. So, what's it like up there with the media in terms of getting to be an influencer? Is it? I guess it's allowed. You're doing it, right? There's no restrictions.
Well, there's some restrictions on Canadian media. So, for example, when you're looking at news sources here, there's new legislation now that actually bans a lot of American news outlets. So, you'll just straight up see on Facebook, if you're going to look at a news article to gather content for a story, it can just flat out say this article is not available in Canada due to government laws. So there are certain things in place that, make it a little bit harder. But overall, there's tons of independent media, tons of journalists and quote unquote influencers. I've never really called myself an influencer. I see myself as more of a creator. But I mean, I think especially in the American space, maybe that's one of the differences. There's a lot of motivation to be an influencer and to sort of grow it in that way. So there are people who do it.
You're selling stuff, I guess, more as an influencer, I guess, would be kind of way to differentiate versus doing a funny bit. You're actually talking about a product, maybe. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I think that there's almost a connotation with influencers that they're less trustworthy or less well-intentioned, which is an interesting thing because I think it's actually true in a lot of cases. But I think that, yeah, that nowadays especially, I think there's a big distinction between creators and influencers.
Well, let's get back to the topic, the thing we were just talking about a second ago. Like, what about restrictions on social media in Canada? Like, is there rules that, like, you can't do certain things on Google in Canada that you could do anywhere else, or at least in the U.S.?
No, we don't really have rules like that. I think the main distinction for creators is some of the monetization. So, for example, we're not allowed in the TikTok creator program to actually earn money from TikTok. So that's one of the things that's harder. There's people out here who have tens of millions of followers and views on an app like TikTok, but they're not getting paid for it. So that's really hard for Canadian creators. I would say also the opportunity in media is harder because we have less media companies. The media companies that we do have are often controlled by all the same parent companies. So it's really 2 or 3 companies that run the show. And if you're not in with them, you're basically, only given the option to become independently known. So I would say it's harder in the sense that we don't really have the same infrastructure to become big creators. But if you set your mind to it, it's allowed and definitely possible.
When you say there's less companies running media, isn't it mostly government, like literally the government, like the Canadian broadcasting system, right? That runs a lot of the stations?
Yeah, definitely. So like the main media company here probably would be CBC, and they're completely government funded. So, that makes it a monopoly, but it also sort of slants the type of content that they want to make and the messages that they want to put out. So, yeah, I mean,
That's what Trump wants here.
Libby says our president's trying to limit what's said too. Like that's
what he's trying to do.
Well, there
that's
you
what's
go.
been going on here with the whole Charlie Kirk thing we talked about in that first segment. There's been a lot of he took off Jimmy Kimmel off the air, a late night talk show host. I forgot to mention that Jimmy Kimmel got suspended over the whole thing that was going on with Charlie Kirk. So, which is crazy. I mean, I don't care if you're left or right, censoring the media. Well, look at, like he's saying, in Canada, that's probably pretty common. Or is it? Would somebody get thrown off the air for, a comment they made?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we had a big controversy here for any Canadian people who are listening with Don Cherry. And Don Cherry was the hockey announcer who was a jewel of this country. You've probably heard of it. Yeah, I mean, he was an important part of the country, and he got thrown off just for saying sort of an off-color comment. So, I mean, yeah, censorship is big in Canada. There's a lot of, again, monopoly in terms of what you can say and do, but there's also the freedom to step around that if you're willing to invest in your own platform and really make something of yourself.
Well, you did, and let's talk about that. How you got into, at 10, you said you started podcasting, but how and when did it start blowing up to the point where you're getting, hundreds of thousands of views on these videos? And again, that wasn't the podcast, that's the video version of it, right? Like your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, I would say probably around 2020 was the year that it really started to pick up. 2020 actually ended up being probably the biggest year for my podcasting period up until that point. And I know a lot of people had struggles during COVID. But for me, since I was doing Zoom interviews with people remotely, my whole world opened up because all of a sudden the whole world was sitting in their house with nothing to do. So whether you were, the biggest name in rock or just some guy working at the gas station, you had time on your hands. So during that time, I was emailing everybody and anybody to get them on my show. I had a huge run of interviews. I had Judas Priest, Ghost, Steve Vai, John McAfee. This was all back to back to back. And that was the year
I... That's 5 years, so that's more recent in your podcasting and video blogging stuff, YouTubing.
Yes, exactly. So that was really the year that I think it started to get more commercial appeal. If you could even say that I'm commercial at this point, I mean, but at least closer in that direction. And then that was also the year I really learned the fine points of making shorts and short form video. I think at that time I was very resistant to actually engage in shorts. I was, resistant to even use TikTok. And I think that, moving with the flow of where the space is going is always important, no matter what you're doing. So I think
why would you have been opposed to the short form content instead of just doing like long videos or long, hour long, 30 minutes long, whatever?
At that time, there was a really negative connotation around TikTok in the sense that people viewed it as either a cop-out or not like a serious place for content. So I remember like when people started making TikToks, they would say, well, I have a TikTok account, but I'm not dancing. Because everybody was just on there doing silly dances and really contributing nothing to any creative space. So at that time, I sort of felt like creativity was eroding in the space, and that if I was to join it, I would be kind of going downhill with it. Where, that was a prediction where I was completely wrong, because now TikTok has become a place for everything, right?
I thought you were going to say it's because it was owned by an enemy hostile, at least hostile to the U.S., I guess.
Yeah, they're not as big of enemies in Canada.
Hostile, but it seems like it.
Yeah, well, it seems like that might be changing soon as well.
Well, TikTok did. It's like being owned. It is owned now by the majority share of TikTok, and some American investor got involved. So that did change, but that doesn't mean the view of it has changed. Although I think it's bigger now, and you get more attention from TikTok, I think, than even YouTube. I mean, that's my opinion. What do you say about that now?
I think you definitely can. I mean, it really depends on the audience that you're trying to reach. I would say that when it comes to more current events, more of a younger audience, like 20 and under, TikTok is probably the prime market. I find YouTube is more evergreen, so you can really just reach people in more niche categories and maybe smaller markets as well as broad markets on YouTube. But yeah, TikTok, I mean, I think it's pretty even at this point. You can really have a big ecosystem on either one if you choose to.
When you're talking about YouTube, you think YouTube has the longer form shows too, right? That's where a lot of people do their show, on a YouTube channel, not a TikTok.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think long form YouTube all the way. And I mean, YouTube has become, it's become not only the main hub for people to watch creators' videos, but it's also become a hub for people to listen to music. It's become a hub for people to watch studio movies now with the YouTube subscription. So, I mean, nowadays YouTube is again, it's bigger than just the creator to the fan. It's become like a hub for really all multimedia. So yeah, I mean, the reach is endless.
I know Libby, she'll listen to the radio, but it's clips that are video for YouTube or Facebook.
Yeah, I watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah, Libby's all into YouTube. I guess I'm old fashioned. I'm still listening in the car on the radio to radio. I guess I'm not the majority share of people anymore. Even in Canada, it's like that. Or where you're traveling around the world, are you noticing that people don't, what's radio?
I think people listen to it, but I think that nowadays there's a lot more even businesses that want to throw on a Spotify playlist or a YouTube mix instead of just the radio. But I think really all it's done is like with the internet and these different platforms, it just gives you more availability to different things. But I don't think it's going to eliminate the radio. I think something like the radio or even the newspaper could last as long as people want it, and it's not really going to be removed by these new things. It's just maybe a smaller market for it, but it'll still be there.
I like that it's still accessible. You got an antenna, you get it, TV, radio, but that's again, who's worried about that anymore? Even cars are getting rid of like AM, just crazy. That doesn't help us here at WCPT. We're an AM station, but we're doing social media stuff too. So, but anyway, that's interesting that you say. So it isn't just a U.S. thing. This is like all around the world, as far as you've noticed.
Yeah, I mean, I've been through, like you mentioned off the top, Canada, Thailand, Vietnam in the last couple of months, and I mean, it's always going to be there for the cab drivers. Those cab drivers, those drivers at night, they always have the radio on. So I mean, I think there's always going to be a market.
I don't know if they have Sirius satellite across the world. I guess they could if they want to pay for it.
Yeah, maybe an online subscription. I haven't seen a whole lot of it out and about though.
So when you're in the cab in Vietnam, you're listening to a guy that's talking about something on the radio in wherever you're at, Vietnam, Thailand, in that language. It wouldn't obviously be an American station.
Yeah, definitely. Always the local language. And I think there's a lot less talk radio there and a lot more music. Like, I think talk shows are not really as big out there. I mean, they do exist, but it's a lot more content based in terms of like music and things like that.
Interesting. Yeah, I never even thought. That's why I want to have you on to talk about what you've been experiencing. By the way, we're talking to Cassius Morris. And you say you're a content creator, not necessarily considered an influencer.
Yeah, I mean, either or can apply. I usually prefer creator just because, again, it maybe dispels some of the negative connotations around influencer, which is a shame because I think it started off as a good thing.
And what you were doing, is this during the pandemic or before it? I thought even you were with like a network. I don't know what it was. Was that just an online company, like kind of like a, there's all kinds of them here in the U.S., but like what was it called? Watch Mojo or something? What was that one?
Yeah, so for a couple years I was working with Watch Mojo. So they're one of the biggest media companies on the internet. They have, I believe, over 25 million followers on YouTube. So I started working with them to do original programming, and then after that, I branched out into working as a producer on their television channel for OTT television, so Roku TV, all those different platforms. So we started doing segments on there, and yeah, I mean, I've worked with various media companies on contract or sometimes full-time, and that's one of the ways that I, keep myself relevant in the space, is to just really collab with a lot of people as well.
Do you feel that helped you blow up and get the reputation, or were you already at 10 getting hundreds of thousands of views on your videos?
I wasn't getting them at 10, but I think that definitely the fact that I was blowing up is what made me noticeable to those companies, rather. So I think that would be my advice. If you want to get hired by a big company, you can send them, your resume all day with nothing really to back it, or you can actually go get your own viewers and your own subscribers. And then it's a more compelling offer because you can tell them, not only am I offering you my talent, I'm offering you something that's built in that people already like, and you can expand on it. So yeah, I think, that helped me get noticed, but certainly after that, it went even further.
So it was good to be with Watch Mojo. It didn't restrict. You felt like it helped you build a little credibility that you're with Watch Mojo. Not it didn't go against anything. Like they didn't tell you what to say or what not to say, or maybe they did. What was that like? What was the experience with that like?
No, Watch Mojo was great. I really have nothing bad to say about working for them as a company. They gave me my first foot in the door, so to speak, for a real job in the space. And they're very set in their format. They do top 10 videos for anybody who's not familiar. So, if you've ever seen a top 10 online, that's basically invented by Watch Mojo in the video format. So, they did that, and they really gave me the space on my music show, which was the talk show that I hosted, to cover whatever I wanted. I mean, as long as it was music related, I could cover it. I was able to get press credentials to shows like Megadeth, Disturbed, different music festivals to go cover that for them. So yeah, it was great, man. And And that was the first time too that I ever had a job in media. Like I was always independent. Actually having that as my full-time job, it definitely, felt great.
So from like 10 to 21 or so, so like 10 years, you were just doing it all on your own, building your own following.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Where were they finding you? Like, how did people find you before you got done with Watch Mojo? And obviously people know about Watch Mojo. How did they find you then?
I think really I started to kind of get known from KISS message boards back in the day, like all the nerd kind of groups, message boards, Facebook groups. And then there was a news piece that ran in, I think, 2011. I was like 12 or 11 years old. And the news piece actually got posted online. That gained a lot of traction about this young KISS fan who was doing a podcast. And then that piece actually got seen by KISS. So the video blew up so much that they saw it. And that was what actually made me meet KISS. So then at that point, when I actually went from the kid who was a KISS fan to the kid who met KISS, that was just like the momentum to push me. And then people were like, who is this guy? And that's kind of how it really started to snowball.
That's pretty awesome. The fact that you were able to do it. And when you were doing this, when you were talking about, again, you were just doing a video, you had the people from the club watching, but when they found it, or I guess let's back up. How did KISS end up finding the video? Just because it was on the internet all over the place, or did somebody maybe tell them about it? Do you know the story how they found it?
I'm pretty sure it was one of their workers who sent it to them. And then I think he kind of bridged the gap and maybe put me in contact with them. And when the drummer of KISS first reached out, I actually didn't believe it was him. I was like, there's no way this is really the drummer of KISS emailing me right now. So I had to verify it.
Libby knows everybody in KISS.
Oh, really?
Eric Singer, Eric Carr.
Yeah,
Chris.
who would it have been? Probably Eric Singer.
It was
right?
Eric Singer, yeah.
Yeah. Libby's a metalhead. I mean, I worked on a station that played that, heavy metal, hard rock music, but I wasn't the expert. I had another guy on called The Pose, and I should have had Libby. She knows a lot. And I don't know, are you a big KISS fan, Libby?
You do like Kiss.
She likes KISS.
No.
She likes Paul Stanley.
No.
So anyway, back to Cassius. We're talking to Cassius about his experience. So you're like a crazed fan, or what do they call it, fanboy or whatever. And so one of the band members, you think it was the drummer, gets this video, and then what happens next?
So basically what happens next is he reached out. He told me he saw me on the news and he thought that the piece was really cool. He thought my podcast was really cool. And then at that point, he actually said, we're going on tour. We're coming to Canada. If you'd like to come and say hello to the band, we'd be happy to include you in a meet and greet that's coming up. So he offered me to come and meet KISS. I could not believe it. And we swiftly booked, passes or tickets rather to go to the nearest city to see them. And that's exactly what happened. They brought me backstage. I got the whole tour of the KISS set. And it was actually KISS and Motley Crue at the time. So Motley Crue's back there walking around. And yeah, I mean, that was the first backstage experience I ever really had. And it changed my whole life, really.
That's pretty awesome. And again, that would have been before the Watch Mojo. You were like 15 or something, right?
Yeah, I was 13. So, I mean, that was,
13. Okay.
8 or 9 years or 7 years at least before.
That is pretty awesome. That'd be a highlight. I have another friend who is probably just like you. You should meet him offline. His name is Scott, and he has been on like every KISS cruise since they started doing it. Been to a lot of the KISS concerts. Went to the final tour here in Chicago. I was with them for that, and he's right in front of the stage, like throwing stuff at Paul Stanley. So he is definitely probably shares your fandom level of knowledge for KISS for sure. And that reminds me about KISS. Do you think that they're going to ever come back in makeup again, or are they really done? I know they sold a lot of they sold their albums.
Their name.
Yeah, they sold the name. Can they ever come back and do anything, you think?
Honestly, I've learned to never say never. I mean, I think with what we've seen with KISS and, Ozzy Osbourne especially is another one, you can never really predict when they're actually going to end. You did mention KISS sold basically the whole name and the whole brand at this point, so I think that throws a wrench in it. But we have to remember they're already coming back without makeup to do a convention soon.
But I don't think they're singing. They're just appearing as like them, not as the band even, just each individual member, right? Not what the official stuff? I saw Gene Simmons interview. I'm like a little confused. Do we know? Are they coming back? You're the fandom guy. Are they coming back as the band, or what? They're just going to be them there as individuals?
From what I understand, they're going to play with Gene, Paul, and Tommy, and then have a replacement drummer. But they're going to play.
Yeah, Derek's not gonna join them, right?
Yes,
I heard that.
exactly.
Wow.
So they're going to play without makeup, not exactly as Kiss, but I feel like they're always going to find a way to come back. You know, that's ultimately what it is. Whether it's under the name or not, or with makeup or without, I feel like as long as they're physically capable of getting on stage, we're going to see them somewhere.
I mean, you mentioned Ozzy Osbourne. He came back, and then a couple weeks after that final farewell thing, he passed on. But by the way, I think they said it was a massive heart attack. I was wondering what. I just looked it up. I was like, oh,
Right.
okay. So it wasn't the other disease that he had. Maybe it attributed a little bit, but it was a heart attack. So, but he came back. He said he wasn't going to perform anymore. Here he did that show. So I guess you're right. I guess until they're in the grave, Kiss will probably figure out a way to do something. Are you going to that convention?
I'm not going to go to Vegas just because it's tied in with the Virgin Hotels. You have to book at their hotel and all this stuff. But, you know, for me, I'm happy with how I left it with Kiss. I left it at the final tour. I think it was like the 10th to last show in Edmonton. I've seen Kiss about 6 times, and that last tour was the best I've ever seen them. They sounded the best. The energy was insane. So for me, when those lights went down at the end of that show, I'd said my goodbyes at the concert. So it was over for me. And I think that leaving it in a positive way is the best way to do it. So you can remember them, you know, the way that you want to. So I'm comfortable with it.
You have an awesome memory. I mean, how many people can say, besides, I guess, my friend Scott, that they've hung out with Kiss, you know, or you interviewed them on a big media company from Canada. So that's pretty awesome. That's a great thing to have on your resume, don't you think?
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I mean, those guys changed my life. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's a couple people who collaborated with me and were able to work with me who really didn't need to do it. You know, it's not doing anything for Kiss to work with a kid from Canada. It's not doing anything for Joey Diaz to work with me at that time. You know, maybe now there's some differences, but the point is that, you know,
Yeah, he was on. Let's talk about him. Let's elaborate. We got a little time to elaborate on that. What was the deal with Joey Diaz? Kind of similar to the way you met Kiss, or how did that all come about? Was it because you were on Watch Mojo? How did Joey Diaz meet you, or you meet him, whatever?
So Joey was a fun one. I would tweet Joey back in the day because, again, this is when podcasts first started. So I would tweet him with the YouTube videos that I was making. And I would just show him my videos. I wasn't asking for anything. I just wanted him to see what I was doing. And one day he clicked my video and he got
Why Joey Diaz is a question I guess we both have.
Funny.
Yeah, well, I would tweet a lot of guys. I was basically tweeting anybody who was in the Rogan sphere at that time, doing Rogan's show. And yeah, I think Joey was the first guy to answer. He got a kick out of my videos, and it just kind of went from there. He shot me a message, and
Wow.
yeah, he
This
basically...
have been before Watch Mojo or after? Or
Yeah,
during?
this was way before. This is like 10 years old, 11 years old.
Oh, okay. You're still a young kid when you were doing this. Okay. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. I
Yeah,
love that.
so it was great. You know, he did a lot for me.
Oh, that's great.
And when you were in the middle of the story, I didn't interrupt there. I just want to frame it up, you know. But so you're talking to him. You mentioned something about differences? I was going to ask, are you still in touch with Kiss too, or Joey Diaz, or all the people that you've interviewed over the years? Do you still talk to any of them?
Definitely, yeah. Joey's still a good friend. Eric's still a good friend. I mean, when I say differences, I think that, you know, now we could be at least on a more even level of collaboration because I actually have an audience now to offer to people. So I think, you know, that would be the difference now as opposed to an unknown guy. But yeah, no, we still keep that relationship really strong.
That's
Oh,
great.
not that you had differences with each other, like you were fighting over something. That had nothing to do. You're talking about your status, I guess, is what you're.
Yeah, see, I got cut off. I got cut off. I wrote them in the chat. I said the Zoom said it's gonna cut. The Zoom said it's gonna cut in 3 minutes. I gave him a warning. Let me see if I can get back on the air. God damn it. 1 second, guys. I'm going to see if I can get back on the air. That's a piss off. We were having a great interview. That's crazy. Yeah, I know. Shout out Drew. Shout out Coach Drew. Let me see what I can do, guys. They're probably just going to go to break. I mean, we were only supposed to do 35 minutes. We did like 30 minutes. But I don't think they saw my message in the chat saying that the call was going to get cut. Let me see what they got here. But I feel like it was good, right? I mean, we were having a good interview. We're talking some good stuff. See what they're saying. But yeah, guys, I figured I'd stream this one because, you know, this is some of the history that I don't really get to talk about when it comes to doing this stuff, man. Like, I've been doing these streams for a long time. I've been doing content for a long time. And, I mean, the stuff that I'm doing now, you know, this isn't what I was always doing, right? Let me see if I can get back in, bro. That's annoying that they kicked me out like that. That's crazy. Let me see what's up here. He said, try this link.
Bunch of guests. And they were not just from Chicago. They were from all over. But he was helping a lot. And he decided to move to North Georgia. I guess his girlfriend, fiance, whatever, was moved, and he moved with her. So anyway, I think we have him. What's that?
Love rules.
I guess. You know, I mean, well, if you're already married, it definitely does. But I don't know. I've never had the opportunity to have to move away from my girlfriend. But so.
Shout out the chat. Shout out Lois.
Do we have Cassius back?
Yes.
I think we do. Right
Yes,
there?
sir, we do. I think the Zoom god said this was too good of content to let everybody have, so they
That's
tried to
what we're
cut
just
us off.
joking about. You didn't want to give away either.
Give it away too
Management
much.
God doesn't want to pay for Zoom.
Oh, okay. That's what it is. They gave up on the bill.
That's
So,
okay.
Okay. We're
Understandable.
good. But we're back with Cassius Morris, and we're in the middle of a great story. So, again, we're talking about how you, well, I wanted to ask you how you came about getting all these people. You mentioned tweeting them and having your show at the time, but what else would you do?
So I think tweeting them, being active. I would also email people. And I think the other thing, too, was being connected with people in the space who had their own connections. So a lot of the time people want to connect. Let's say, you know, if you want to get Joe Rogan on your show, people will try to tweet Joe Rogan all day. When really, I mean, you can connect with people who know him. You can connect with somebody who works on his staff, somebody who's a frequent at the comedy club. And really, I think, you know, if you're networking from scratch, it's good to just get known by everybody who's in those rooms. You know, you look backstage at a concert, there's 150 people back there. You know, if 50 of those people know who you are, that's not going to hurt you if you're trying to reach the main guy. So I think it was just about being in the mix and somehow being relevant all around in the space.
So being on, having done the show with Watch Mojo, that didn't necessarily get you the guest stuff.
No, I mean, I'd done, you know, most of the big guests and stuff before Watch Mojo. I mean, I definitely, you know, when you're emailing from a company with that status, it's definitely different than when you independently email. So we get a lot of big guests from that. But I was also doing it before as well.
So it wasn't a help then. You already had the big names. You had Kiss going and everything before even the Watch Mojo days. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it helped as well, though. I mean, I got a lot of big ones from that as well, and I got discovered from people who I still work with to this day from Watch Mojo. So it definitely helped in its own way.
I get people by accident, like I was saying before we got you back on. You know, I'll be at a show and talking to somebody who knows somebody, like, oh, Okay, great. Well, I have this show. Have them come on, but it takes a little time. You've got what we were talking about. You got the Rolodex now. You can just pick up the phone and call them or email them, like you said, and their personal private email. That's an advantage.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the more connections you have, the better in any space. And, it comes with, earning respect. I think, when people see that you can have those numbers and you can have that contact and you're not going to share it or you're not going to abuse it or, call a celebrity to have them do a voicemail for your friend's mom or just any ridiculous stuff like that, you're going to earn the respect and that's going to multiply.
Wow, Libby, I guess I shouldn't do that. I already was trying to do that with some local Chicago DJ. Okay, I won't do it.
There you go.
Funny you say
Rule
that.
number 1.
No, asking them for, what about you're listening to Bell and Company? Can we do that?
I think if you guys do an interview, yeah. I mean, if you interview somebody, a photo and a plug that's called for. Yeah. Maybe not a random guy, though.
Let's ask Cassius. We got to hear Cassius. Can you do it for us?
Sure, I can do one. If you guys are ready, I can rock
Go
it
ahead.
out. Okay, and it's WCPT AM 820, yeah?
And Bell and Company.
Okay, here we go, guys. I like that, Mario. You were smooth with that. He's got me to do the plug now. Here we go. Hey, everybody, it's Cassius Morris, and you're listening to Mario J. Bell on WCPT AM 820 Chicago.
See, that's nice. So I got to send him his, a little kickback, right? That's what I want to talk about.
I take Cash App and Zelle, Mario, so that's it's all good.
PayPal?
PayPal.
So it kind of led into the next topic about that. Did you have a problem where people wouldn't want to come on the show, whether you're with Watch Mode or doing it on your own? They didn't want to be interviewed because, what perks are you offering? Have you ever had to run into that, or do you offer something?
I think that it happens. I mean, there's certain people who only want to do your show if you're really big, which is completely called for. I can understand that. There's other people who won't do anything unless they're getting paid. So, me personally, I don't pay for interviews. I've never paid for an interview. So those people I just don't work with. I mean, we're in a space now where I have some sponsors and stuff, so I would be open to that. I don't think there's anything wrong about it on principle, but I've just never had to. And yeah, I mean, I think really what I offer people is just to have a good, unique conversation. I think that if you are smart about how you ask for something, how you try to get in contact with a person, and you can really express the value that you can offer, a lot of the times it can go beyond money, it can go beyond, things, and somebody can really see the value in it. So it's also something.
What's your next move going to be then? Are you looking to get back on like a network, or do you like being independent?
I'm always talking to people. Yeah, I'm always talking to people. I mean, I like doing stuff with networks. I like doing my own thing. I mean, ideally, I'd like to do both. But if somebody was to offer me a show that was a more permanent home for what I do, that wasn't completely independent, I would certainly accept that. So, but I think right now my focus has been on kind of taking my own advice, and I've built myself up to a certain point where I can have certain opportunities, and now I think to unlock that next level, I have to build myself up even more. So that's kind of been my focus right now, so I can attract those opportunities instead of chase them.
That's what that leads to the next question. What are advice that you give to people that want to get to be to your level, and what are you looking to do next?
Yeah, I think, the networking, like we talked about, just staying in the mix is a big one. And again, not necessarily to get things from people, because people think, well, if I talk to this guy, he might give me this. That's not exactly how it works. It's more so just about having your name in the mix so that if something comes up, you can be called on. Another one is just to always do something. I think if you really want to get to a certain place, whether it's working out or whether it's a career move or whatever the case is, you don't need to do 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day, but you have to do something every day. Like, even if you work for 30 minutes on your channel, that's 30 minutes that's gone into it that would have been missed otherwise. So I think that if you really want to elevate, there's got to be no days off, even if you do 20 minutes of work on one day.
So
yeah.
You think doing you'll have new content every day, basically, even if it's 5 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, just do something, keep it current. And this is for all creators, influencers. They got to keep keep going. You don't just stop for a year or whatever, 6 months, whatever.
Yeah, and it's not even necessarily posting every day. It's if you take 2 weeks where you don't post, you need to be behind the scenes planning things for every single day. I think that just always having something in motion is a big key. And yeah, for me, I mean, when you ask about next moves, I think just more daily content for me is really the goal. Bigger guests, putting some more money into the show and actually getting a budget with sponsors and stuff. And I
How
think
about
building on
teaching
what we've
people to
done.
do it? How about teaching people to do it?
Yeah, teaching people as well. I actually do consultations at this point too. So I have an ebook that I wrote. You can find that on my Instagram and YouTube. There's links. And also I do one-on-one consultations for people who want to do podcasting, YouTube, radio. So yeah, I mean, that's been a next step, that I started to take in the last 6 months. And I think the reaction has been great. I find a lot of joy in helping other people launch their channels. And it's actually been quite rewarding. So
how do they reach you if they want to get a hold of, if they want to see the channel or just maybe get a hold of your consultations? How do they find you?
yeah, so the channel is Cassius Morris Official. That's Cassius. You can also find me on Instagram under the same name. And there's the link in the description of all this for all my pages for the book and the consultations. You can hit the link or just send me a message on any of these platforms and I'll get back to you. And yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I have to say, it's really cool helping people see their visions through.
That's awesome. I'm glad I found you and I've been talking with you, and we'll be definitely keeping in touch. Thanks for being on, and yeah, so good luck with everything, and everybody look for Cassius Morris, and it's Morris is Morris.
That's right, yes.
And Cassius Morris. So anyway, take care. Thanks for being on. It was great talking to you.
Thanks. Bye.
And that's been another edition of Bell and Company right here on WCPT. Everybody take care. We'll talk to you next time. Have a good day. Bye.
Very cool.
All right.
Oops, I just hung up. No, I think they were trying to talk to me and I just hung up. Okay, the show's off the air, guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was my interview live on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago. So that's a little behind the scenes, guys, of what it's like to call into a radio show. Always interesting talking about my past and the stuff that I've done. I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about my career in those terms. To me, it's like Googling yourself. It's like looking at your own resume or thinking about what you've done. I don't spend a lot of time doing that. That's not my style. But when I do these interviews, it's always interesting to go down memory lane and think like, dude, I've been doing this content shit since I was 10 years old. I mean, that's crazy to even think about. And I don't even know how that happens, but here we are. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I know it was a little bit like... It didn't go off without a hitch, but this is the behind the scenes to show you guys what it's like to do these things, show you guys what it's like to be in this space. I hope you enjoyed it, and shout out to the chat. Shout out to everybody who was here. I'll be on again later, talking about some different topics. We did a stream about Charlie Kirk and Joe Rogan yesterday. Go watch that one if you missed it. New interview is going to drop tomorrow. So there's tons of content coming. Yeah, Reagan, I started this at 10 years old. If you guys, let me see if there's a picture of it. I don't think there's any pictures of it. There is actually this picture. I'll show you guys before I log off. So this was me. This is funny. This was me when I first started doing this. That reporter kid. So this is when I got discovered by Joey, by Rogan. I haven't changed a bit. Well, maybe a bit. But that's it, guys. So the saga continues. Lots of fun content on the way. We'll catch you guys when I hop back on later.